Yes. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Melton Borough Council. Evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, please leave by one of the 6 emergency exits around the sides of the chamber. Please assemble at the far side of the front of the car park nearest to the park entrance. Officers will be on hand to assist persons who will require any assistance. Public recording of the meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record, or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. Please switch mobile phones to silent. Microphones. Councillors and officers are reminded to use their microphones when speaking for the benefit of all present. Please note that we have the monitoring officer, Kieran Stockley, joining us by remote link this evening. I would now like to ask Pastor Neil Sweatingham to offer the prayers for the council. Thank you.
Thank you. There was just a moment there, I'm sorry, where I had a vision as we heard about the emergency exits of someone in the middle going, the emergency exits are there. That might be something you'd like to consider for future meetings. Anyway, should we pray? In the Old Testament book of Isaiah, the promised Christ child is called Wonderful Counselor. So, Father God, I want to pray for all the counsellors gathered here this evening, that you would give them wonderful grace this Christmas. Cultivate in each of them, I pray, a growing awareness of where and when you're at work. Help them develop the discernment to know which decisions are the right ones to take. Clear their minds of bias and give them the confirmation of inner peace as they make sound judgments. Grant them wisdom to learn from every opportunity, every setback, every perspective, and bless them all with hope and health this Christmas as they serve their constituents. I ask all this through your Holy Spirit and in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Neil. Apologies for absence. These have been received from councillors Child, Douglas, Faulkner, Fisher, Pritchett and Wood. Is there any member wishing to pass on any apologies for any other member? Please indicate by raising their hand. No. I can therefore confirm that we have 21 members present in this meeting and the apologies as noted. Item 2, to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the 27th of October 22. Do I have a proposer?
Mr. Mayor, I have pleasure in proposing them. Thank you.
And a seconder, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Do any members have any comments to make in relation to the accuracy of the minutes? No. So can I ask then for a hands for all in favour, please?
That's carried.
That's carried then, thank you. Declarations of interest. If any members would like to indicate that they have an interest to declare, could they please do so by raising their hand? Other than registrable interest in respect of county councillors Orson and Posnett, are taken as being on record for any matters which relate to county council. Right, my announcements for this last period between councils. I first started with the Royal British Legion Remembrance at De Montfort Hall. That was possibly not as well attended this year, and I was actually quite disappointed with the amount of people there, but it was an excellent performance by the band. We've been to the County Chairman's event and Charnwood Mayor's event. We then went to the Royal British Legion ceremony outside the Legion, which that was really well attended, with at least 50 people there standing around and being in attendance for that remembrance. That evening we went to Uppingham School for the Rutland Remembrance, and they had an excellent concert which was really well attended. And I've never been before, but the Uppingham School was a really impressive setting for the concert. The Melton Remembrance Parade on the 13th, that was an excellent turnout, both for the parade and the public lining all the route. And we had a full capacity in the church, with a very good turnout also over at the Memorial Gardens. In that evening, we were at Leicester, where there was a multi-faith remembrance, particularly remembering other cultures and faiths who fought alongside each other during both World Wars. At the 26th of November, we went to the Performing Stars Awards held at the Cattle Market. And this hasn't been done for the last 3 years. But it was an excellent, although a long afternoon and evening with the awards, it was an excellent to see from these students sort of 4 years and upwards. It was really inspiring to see all their dedication and the talent and the energy and effort in which they'd all put into all their year's work to get these awards. And for these people who then want to go on and use this as an opportunity for further education or even as a career into performing arts, it was an excellent really afternoon. Then we had the Christmas lights switch on, held in the centre of the town. The town was full of stalls and it was full of people. It was really, I know the weather was on the good side, but I think the relaxation of the rules over the last 3 years, and everybody really turned out, and it was an excellent turnout. There's the Melton Church had its Christmas tree festival again, and that was a huge success. I can't just remember the numbers, but Ian said that I think they'd had more people through the doors than they've ever had. On the 8th of December, we went to visit Birchwood School. For me, this was very enlightening because over 250 students there with a wide range of abilities. And the school also employed 170 staff, many of which come from around Melton, so make it a significant employer for the Melton people. And this facility is a place that's looking to expand as placement numbers are way outweigh the school's capacity. Also that evening, it was the Mayor's Charity Carol Service, which we had 5 schools taking part with over 100 children. And the performance was excellent for all the children in the schools. And I think both parents, teachers and schools were all really proud. And it was really well attended throughout everybody in Melton as well, and the villages that attended. 13th of September was the staff Christmas lunch. This was really well attended. I think the room was full of, I've never seen so many staff on site. And it was really well attended, and everybody take part in the quizzes and games. And it was a good opportunity for me to meet and talk to staff that I don't normally get to see. We then went to Fernley School's carol concert. This was also after a 3-year gap. And that was an excellent performance, and the school should be really proud of how the students really performed on that evening. Throughout December, I won't go through them all, but we've attended a lot of carol services, both large and small, in and around the area. But this has been a good chance for me to sing and praise this Christmas. And it's a good time to engage and talk with lots of different people. And so I'd just like to say thank you to any councillors and staff who supported me through this period. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite the leader, Councillor Olsen, to make his announcement, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, I'd like to wish you and the Mayoress happy Christmas and all the best for the new year, and the same to the Deputy Mayor as well. All the best for the new year. Members, I begin tonight by paying tribute to the former Councillor Brenda Smith, who died recently. Councillor Smith was elected to represent Egerton Ward at a by-election on the 28th of February 2002, and she served until 2008, when she moved away from the area. She was best known for her work with Residents Action Group Egerton and her role in securing new play equipment and the building of the Cove. I would like to echo the words of Matthew O'Callaghan and agree that she was an outstanding councillor and true champion of the people of Egerton Ward. On behalf of the council, I offer our sincere condolences to her family and her friends. I now want to reflect on the events of yesterday. Firstly, the publication of the finance settlement, which sets out the funding we will receive from government for the next year, and which will inform the development of our budget. Whilst nationally this may represent an improved settlement for local government, for district councils, the increase is only 5%, which is some way below current levels of inflation and does not account for lost income streams still impacted by COVID. In reality, Mr. Mayor, the total of the various grants received by MBC is actually 7K less than that received in 2022-23 and 37K less than assumed in the draft budget, which is disappointing. In better news, the finance team are still assessing the levels of business rates we will be able to retain, but we expect this to be an increase over the amount assumed in the draft budget. This is, though, unlikely to be enough to achieve a balanced budget without the need to draw on reserves. As a council, we will stand need to consider the savings that will be necessary to bring the budget into a balanced position. Scrutiny will be holding a workshop in early January, followed by the more formal scrutiny meeting prior to consideration by Cabinet and Budget Council in February. I look forward to working with all members as we navigate this difficult time for the sector. As you will be aware, one of the ways we were hoping to manage our financial sustainability was through the establishment of a strategic partnership with Harborough District Council. Following a comprehensive debate on the subject last night, their council chose by one vote to reject the recommendation from their cabinet. This to me is extremely disappointing, as it means we will no longer be able to access the considerable benefits that would have been available to us, our teams and our communities, had the partnership been established. As you will appreciate, based on the decision taken by Harborough, there was no option but to withdraw the item from tonight's agenda, Mr. Mayor. Despite the disappointment, I continue to believe that the case for working more closely with Harborough remains. And whilst this is a setback and a missed opportunity, it does not have to be a fatal blow to our aspirations. Building on the work done so far and the strong relationships we have built, we will continue to explore opportunities with them, like the CCTV item on our agenda this evening. Clearly, however, without the partnership framework in place, these opportunities will be more limited than would otherwise have been possible. Since our last meeting, our 1.2 million UK Shared Prosperity Fund investment plan has been approved by the government. This is great news and shows our plan, which had wide support from stakeholders, is credible and will deliver for our residents on the cost of living, jobs and prosperity. On Friday, we had the great news that despite the increase in costs and some uncertainty over recent months, the MMDR North and East section will go ahead, with work starting in March. This remains a massive achievement and will be huge for our communities and our economy. We will continue to work with the County Council to ensure the southern section of the MMDR can come forward at the earliest opportunity. The road will deliver the homes and jobs that Melton needs. And at a time when more homes are being built in Melton than ever before, we await details on the recent ministerial statements on planning reform and housing targets. We would obviously support measures which give more power to local communities, but any changes must not choke off delivery or stifle growth. We will review the details of any proposals carefully and update members when more details are published. After another busy years, it is fitting that I reflect on all the good work which has been done. As part of this, I'm delighted to confirm that we are in the process of making a submission to the prestigious LGC Awards 2023 in the category of Most Improved Council. And I wanted to share some of the key parts of our submission with you, Mr. Mayor. It's worth reflecting on the challenges this council was facing when I became leader and was joined by the Chief Executive Officer a few months after. We had no corporate oversight of how we were performing. We had no scrutiny function, no clarity on how policy was developed. We had no housing officers, no enforcement capability, no legal team, no democratic services team, no regeneration team, no assets team. Mr. Mayor, we were dysfunctional, with too few resources devoted by too many priorities, and we were sleepwalking into major failure. It's easy to forget how far we have come over the last few years. We are not perfect, and nor will we ever be, but we are much improved and unrecognizable from where we were. That is because we made the changes necessary, built a fantastic team of officers, worked well together as members, and at key times had the courage to take bold decisions, even when there were those who would still criticize us. The improvements made are even more impressive when you consider that as a small district, we have far fewer resources than the vast majority of other councils, and yet we continue to punch above our weight time and time again. The move to cabinet and scrutiny model and adoption of a constitution in 2019 has created the platform for all good work since. Roles have been clarified and there is far greater focus and accountability. Our housing service was in a mess. But the Housing Improvement Plan, also agreed in 2019, has delivered a huge transformation and ensures we are ready for the regulatory changes which are to come. We can now look forward, listening to our tenants, investing in their homes, and with the highest levels of audit assurance possible, demonstrate we are delivering our priorities. We worked tirelessly during the pandemic, saving lives and protecting livelihoods, leading the COVID response and recovery. And again, despite the unprecedented challenge, our efforts received the highest level of assurance possible. On the MMDR, we showed incredible resolve to negotiate a pioneer infrastructure funding deal, which has helped secure the relief road without jeopardizing our financial future. This is transformational for this borough and is something that many thought would never happen. We have also influenced and worked positively with our health partners, who are now committed to work with us to deliver the second GP surgery for Melton. On growth with our partners, we launched a stockyard at the cattle market and have supported over 60 small businesses through the Food Enterprise Centre, as well as submitted an ambitious Levelling Up Fund bid to secure more investment for our town. More homes have been built in Melton in the last year than at any time in the last 30 years. And the big improvements we made in land charges saw us shortlisted for the National Awards for Excellence. We created an assets team who are actively managing our portfolio, generating capital receipts for things we no longer need, so they can be invested in those that we do as part of our asset development programme. We've built enforcement capacity using powers to resolve community issues not previously used in Melton, including community protection notices, closure orders, and securing prosecutions, which have gained us international recognition and commendations from the Chief Executive of the Food Standard Agency. We demonstrated our continuing compassion and support to the most vulnerable, being the first council in Leicestershire to welcome Afghan refugees who supported our armed forces, as well as those fleeing from the Ukraine. On the cost of living, we have a plan in place and quickly distributed energy rebate payments and have supported more of our residents to gain access to household support payments than the other 6 districts in Leicestershire combined. The cost of living crisis will be felt for some time, and we will continue to do all we can to support our residents through it. Mr. Mayor, we were the first council in the East Midlands to achieve Disability Confident Leader status and one of only 3 employers in Leicestershire to secure the Gold Award in the Armed Forces Employer Recognition Scheme this year. And in another marker of our progress, resident satisfaction is up across the board compared to 2019, showing the things we are doing are appreciated by those we serve. Mr. Mayor, there is no complacency, of course, and we will continue to be ambitious to do more. With the strong foundations we have built being so important to ensuring we can deliver. Today's agenda is an example of that, whether that is upgrading our CCTV and replacing cameras that are now 26 years old, or considering our housing asset management plan, which is another tangible demonstration of the progress we've made. I look forward to discussing these and the other items on tonight's agenda during the course of the meeting. Mr. Mayor, I'm very, very proud of all we do at Melton and want us to showcase our achievements at the LGC Awards next year. I hope all members will join with me in supporting our submissions. I would like to thank members and officers for all their hard work in moving this council so forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being so patient.
Thank you. Item 6, public question time. No questions have been received. Item 7, questions from members. No questions have been received. Motions on notice. There are no motions on notice to hear this evening. Cabinet recommendations to council. I will now invite portfolio holder for council homes and landlord services, Councillor Brown, to present the cabinet recommendations to the council on the housing revenue account, HRA, as asset management plan 2023 to 2028. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll not try and keep everybody too long, but I'll just give a brief introduction and talk a little bit about the paper that we have in front of us this evening. I'm pleased to recommend the approval of a 5-year asset management plan for our housing revenue account. This gives us further structural clarity and strengthens the council's approach as to how we will manage our housing and repair our properties. It also aligns with our 30-year business plan for our housing revenue account. This plan has been through various consultations and our scrutiny committee, whom I would like to thank for their input, which has meant that, for example, that those homes with storage heaters will be removed as soon as possible, meaning more efficient heating for tenants has been effective, showing the power of the scrutiny process. The plan has also been reviewed by Savills, as members can see from the report, and shows the robustness of the plan and the diligence in drawing it up. It can be seen clearly where we will make investments and improve our stock in line with a robust stock condition survey to refer back to. As well as maintaining our stock, we will also look to improve where we can, such as modernisation of Gretton Court. We're also committed to growing our housing stock, having recently agreed to purchase 8 new homes in Old Dalby, and we will bring in forward a programme of further new build and proposed purchases in the new year. Management of our homes is key, and we've agreed a number of management policies, and we will be producing more of these in the new year. So it is clear to tenants, councillors and staff as to what is expected and the standards that we should be meeting. The sector and Melton Borough Council is not alone in facing various challenges, but being able to invest in our existing housing stock and develop new stock is absolutely key, and this plan will go very much towards achieving that. In the autumn, I wrote to the Housing Minister arguing the case for social housing providers to be able to increase rents in order to ensure our business cases remain viable. I am pleased to say that the government has listened to us, and I have today shared a response received with all councillors. I would also like to address the recent issue in the sector regarding damp and mould. I can confirm that we are working proactively on cases that have been reported to Melton Borough Council. This week, a robust response as to how we record, manage and respond to such cases was presented to the Secretary of State as requested at the start of the month. I would urge tenants who experience damp and mould to report it to Melton Borough Council, and for councillors to also ensure any reports are highlighted to officers as a priority. But also today, I also visited a number of homes myself as portfolio holder to see what our tenants who are suffering from damp and mould issues are experiencing. And I am very pleased to say that I have full confidence in our property and repairs team, because every property I went to, every single tenant was so complimentary about the responsiveness of the service that they've been getting from the team. We have in front of us, to finish off, a really robust asset management plan that's going to mean that we can, for the first time probably ever in the history of this council, know where we're going to invest in our stock. And finally, I would like to thank the people who've put this together for us, which is Michelle, Howard, Alison Bennett, but in particular Chris Flannery, who's sitting at the back of the room here, for his dedication and hard work. I'm be delighted to listen to more to the debate, and happy to take any questions as the debate proceeds. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a proposer for this recommendation, please?
Forgive me. Yes, I will propose the recommendation, which is item 11. Oh, sorry, item 9. Sorry, what am I doing? Item 9. And that is 2.1, the council approves the housing revenue account asset management plan and associated action plan and agrees that they are used to inform the revenue and capital budget proposals for 2023-24. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm more than happy to second this. We know that the housing conditions in which we live can have a real significant impact on our mental and physical health and well-being. So this is a really positive plan that will really benefit some of our most vulnerable residents. So I'm more than happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open this to debate and invite members to raise their hand to indicate whether they wish to speak, please.
Yeah,
Councillor
good report.
Carter.
Yeah, good report, Ronan, on that. But just one issue about the damp. There's been concerns in my ward down Burnley Place for some time in the bungalows. I've reported this. Staff's been out. We've still got the problem with damp. Can you come with me, Ronan, to have a look, or can some officers come with me to try and get this sorted, please? Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Carroll, absolutely. No problem, as you know, as ever. I think the other Sunday we met up and went and seen another tenant. Just to come back on that a little bit, just to be aware is that we will go out and the officers will look to identify the cause of the damp. And sometimes the initial remedy that's put in place needs to work through a little bit of time to see if the actual interventions actually making a difference. And if it's not, the officers will come back to that and look at maybe what might be a better or a more efficient remedy to actually sort out the issue in hand. But more than happy to come and speak to whatever tenants you have to have this problem.
Oh, thanks for that, Ronan. I'll see you after and we'll arrange a time. Thank you.
I can confirm now then that no other members wish to speak. We'll now proceed to the vote. The recommendation is that the council 2.1 approves the HRA asset management plan and associated action plan and agrees that they are used to inform the revenue and capital budget proposals for 22, 23, 24. All those in favour, please.
Unanimous.
Thank you. That's carried unanimous. Item 10. This was the Cabinet recommendation to Council report on the strategic partnership between Melton Borough Council and Harborough District Council. However, this item has now been withdrawn by the leader. Item 11.
The chair of audit would like to, but I don't know whether
That will, the audits will be coming later.
about this.
Item 11. I will now invite the Deputy Leader, Councillor Graham, to present the Cabinet recommendations to Council on the CCTV modernisation and revised operating arrangements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted to bring this report and recommendations to councillors. I normally write what I'm going to say myself. On this occasion, there have been so many twists and turns, but I'm extremely grateful to Michelle for helping me with this up-to-date version, or I thought I was. When it finally came through this morning, I noticed the first paragraph was all about being too old, neither offering an effective solution or value for money. And I took it rather personally, but I sort of felt that I knew what she meant. And I well remember those meetings all those years ago where we had to obtain the original cameras. And it seems like yesterday to me. Now, with the same points raised as today, we recognise that CCTV is a really important part of what we can do as a council to keep our communities safe. Reading through our report again and realising that it's not just myself, but also our CCTV system that needs updating, I'm delighted to bring this report forward to achieve a modern and effective solution fit for the future. The importance of keeping our communities safe and helping people to feel safe cannot be underestimated. While it's not a statutory service, CCTV is an important mechanism to deter, detect and prevent crime. What is being proposed will improve the efficiency, effectiveness and quality of our CCT offer, not only in terms of the equipment we use, but also the way we maintain our equipment and monitor the cameras. Our new monitoring arrangements will be much improved with a team available 24/7. Linking with Harborough for maintenance and monitoring will help us be more effective. And I was pleased to be able to visit the CCTV control room in Harborough myself recently, where I saw firsthand the quality of the cameras and monitoring arrangements. I was staggered that you can actually, a camera one side of the street can read the street names on a map the other side of the street. It's that impressive. We marked our intention to bring forward a business case for a modernized CCTV system as part of this year's capital strategy. And I'm pleased that after a lot of hard work, and I do mean that a lot of hard work has gone into this, from the Safer Communities team and dialogue with key stakeholders, we are now in position to bring this proposal forward. The proposition before you is for 10 cameras of high quality. The coverage of the cameras is included as an appendix to the report. This is in addition to the 4 new cameras we already funded through the Safer Streets Fund. The offer will be much better than having 16 obsolete or poorly operating cameras as we do right now. Finally, I'm delighted to confirm that since the report was drafted, we have received confirmation of a £15,000 grant funding contribution from the Police and Crime Commissioner towards this important project, which reduces the draw on our general fund capital receipts. Our teams are ready to get to work on this scheme and aim to have our new CCTV arrangements in place early next year. And I'm delighted to move revised recommendations at 2.1 as shown on your order paper, that the Council approves a capital investment to modernise the CCTV system with a capital programme updated accordingly, and £26,670 being allocated from the general fund capital receipts, and £17,770 being allocated from the HRA Regeneration and Development Reserve. And at 2.2, that the Council approves that authority is given to collaborate with Harborough District Council for CCTV maintenance and monitoring arrangements. I have much pleasure in moving those. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, more than happy to second this recommendation by Councillor Graham, and also to add to this the fact that we're seeing again collaborative working internally between the general fund and the housing revenue account, listening to both what the public have said and also what our tenants have said around the fact that they feel that there should be more monitoring in the housing areas and the estate areas, which again some councillors have also fed back. And also is the fact is that the collaborative working also with Market Harborough with Harborough District Council will mean that we can actually afford to monitor something, whereas if we had to do it standalone, we wouldn't probably be able to do that. And again, I think that shows the beauty of partnership and collaborative working, and I'm more than happy to second Councillor Graham's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now open this item to debate and invite members to raise their hand to indicate whether they wish to speak, please. Councillor Posnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a query really is that are we sure that operators in Harborough will be able to identify places in Melton? Because there has been incidences when this was not the CT operators, but it was the police. When I was with a gentleman who was reporting an incident, but because it wasn't on a main road, the person at the control place within the police had not got a clue where we were asking people to come to. And it was a derelict farm building off Sandy Lane where kids were letting, well, what sounded like gunshots off. And it must have taken us 10 minutes to get through to the police exactly where we were. And, in the end, 3 police cars and 2 police vans turned up. But you know what I mean? I've just got that, will people be able to identify easily the places where there is any antisocial behaviour occurring?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I stand to be corrected, but I believe they will, because these cameras will be fixed. They'll know the areas. They'll have the maps and they'll know the areas which are covered by the cameras. So from that point of view, I'm pretty confident that they will know. And again, they will be able to contact people if there is a problem. Thank you very much. Anything I should add? Nope. Good. Thank you.
Councillor Glancy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to go on from that, I mean, Pam mentioned a very valuable point there, but I would sort of seek confirmation that we would use modern technology. There's an app called What 3 Words, and that identifies exactly where something is occurring, and everybody uses it, all the emergency services. So can we please have that adopted and included in whatever plan we have? Thank you.
It's interesting. What 3 words are being used more and more, but actually they are very dangerous, because if you get one of the words slightly wrong or sent off to the North Pole or somewhere, and it's very important that when you have the What 3 Words, which spell out each word to the person rather than saying the 3 things that are, but they will have the What 3 Word. They've got various bits, I seem to remember, on the screens, of which some are What 3 Words, some are grid references and various other things. So I'm pretty certain, I'm getting a nod, so I'm pretty certain, yes, that it will be okay. Thank you.
Anybody, any other members wish to ask a question? Elaine, Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I remember a very long time ago, these cameras were set up and extremely good. It occurs to me that whatever we do, we won't be able to pinpoint. If somebody is at Market Harborough, we will not, whatever everybody said, because some roads are the same name and all sorts of things. Doesn't always work. Isn't there not a possibility of having some sort of little monitor that can be here as well, so it could be monitored by somebody, an amateur, like it used to be? Is there any possibility that we could have had that, say, at the police station or something like that? That might just be helpful. I don't know, but I just wonder if that is a possibility.
Mr. Mayor, I think that is what we're trying to get away from. We have really, since all those years ago, 26 years ago, they were monitored in the police station. And it was fascinating. I used to go up there and watch people being poured out of tubes and things, and one could really get a feel of what was happening in Melton. But with COVID, it became more and more difficult to get volunteers, and we haven't found anyone. And so, the general, this way, we're obviously looking at everything in our budget to save money, and this is an incredibly cost-effective way to do it. Now, it may be in time, but we'll find shortcomings, and they will occur. And if that is the case, then I think we can look at it then. But at the moment, I have full confidence, and I'm sure that if anybody wanted to go have a look at this room where the CCTV cameras are and the people who are monitoring it, they would be any too pleased to show someone around. But I was incredibly impressed by, I didn't see our cameras, but I saw one they had in Harborough, and you will pick out absolutely anything in it. And if they are fixed, they will know from a map where they are and what the streets are called. So hopefully, but the proof of the pudding in the meeting, and we will see. But the basics are right, and if there's some things which need fine tuning, then we'll go ahead and do it. Okay.
Councillor Chandler.
I think we have moved on, as Councillor Graham says, quite a lot in the last 26 years. We now have what they call satellite navigation and grid references. We can ring up on a Sunday afternoon now and say we've got hair courses and give them the grid reference and they can be there, where even 5 years ago, you had to try and tell them where it was, what lane it was off, etc., etc. But no, things have moved on, especially with satellite navigation. I mean, all tractors now have it, as you know. You don't steer a tractor anymore, the tractor goes on its own. Might be scary to some of you, but that's what happens. My sons wouldn't know how to drive a tractor, I don't think, now my grandsons. It's the satellite navigation that does it and the grid references. So yeah, things have improved, but it's quite complicated, but the things are set up properly. So I think if that reassures anybody, I hope it does.
Thank you. Councillor Freer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification, am I right in thinking that the CCTV cameras are static cameras? They are located in specific places and they will look at only a specific area to support crime detection, to aid the economy, the shopkeepers, business owners, etc. We're not talking about roaming cameras that are going all around the borough or the town, and we won't know where they are placed. For this particular item, it's just those that are located on the map. So if you look at the cabinet report, there is a map attached to it, and it does identify exactly where those cameras are being placed. I think I'm right in saying that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, no, Councillor Freer, absolutely right. Tonight we are talking about the 10 new cameras. There are 4 variable cameras which can be placed, which I mentioned in speech, which can be placed. But again, we're thankful. Addition for 4 new cameras we already have funded out of the Safe Street Fund. But actually tonight we're talking about the 10 cameras which are of high quality, which are fixed. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Illingworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not quite sure how reassuring it is to know that with the size of modern tractors, the drivers aren't driving them, but I presume they switch that off when they get on the road and use their eyes. Could anybody tell me what the strength of the team is that does the monitoring? In other words, how many, if you like, bums on seats at any one time? Because if it's several, would it not be a good idea to, one way or another, try and facilitate that a Melton person is part of that team? I mean, it's just occurring to me that this is a classic easy gain that we've just lost by not having this collaboration. Local knowledge will always be useful in those situations. Don't care how good the technology is. Somebody who knows the patch will always be better than somebody who doesn't. I mean, I don't know whether it's 2 people with the joysticks watching a whole bank or whether it's 10 people, but could you perhaps establish that? And if possible, try and get a Melton connection in that room.
Thank you for that question. The answer is, when I was there was 1 person. There is a bank of of cameras, and 1 person can keep their eye on Reddit and see. And then if they're told to zoom in on something, they can. But a lot of it is recording of what's going on more than anything else. And one of the reasons really why we are doing this in Sewer Harbour is that actually our supply of volunteers, it takes such a long time to actually get a volunteer through all the checks and the things that the police have to do, and then send them down to Harbour, where probably they're routing in Harbour and you won't know what they're doing down there, I think is a bit difficult. But let's give it a go and let's see how it goes. And if we find that is a problem, then we can sort it. But at the moment, it's really we just found that the volunteers who were fantastic, and we had wonderful volunteers, and I used to go and sit with them in the evenings and watch everything going on. With COVID, that then dried up and we haven't been able to restart, and the qualifications are so hard to actually find someone who has passed all the checks to do it. Okay.
Are there any other members wish to speak? No. So I can confirm that there's no members or officers wish to speak. We'll now proceed to a vote. The recommendations are that Council 2.1 approves the capital investment to modernise the CCTV system with the capital programme updated accordingly, and 26,670 being allocated from the general fund capital receipts and 17,770 being allocated from the reserve HRA regeneration and development reserve. 2.2 approves that the authority is given to collaborate with Harborough District Council for CCTV maintenance and monitoring arrangements. All those in favour, please. Thank you. That's unanimous. Item 12. I will now invite the portfolio holder for corporate governance, finance and resources, Councillor de Burgh, to present the Cabinet recommendations to Council on the Treasury Management Mid-Year Report 22-23. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, it's a requirement of our reporting procedures that we receive regular reports on our Treasury management activities. This mid-year report is contained in a comprehensive 20-page document at Appendix A of your papers. It provides a detailed overview of item 3, page 377, of the wildly changing market influences that have prevailed over the past year. Clearly shown in the table at 5.2, our capital expenditure estimate of 6.26 million is forecast to increase to 7.67 million by the year end. In spite of this, our capital financing requirement, one of our prudential indicators, of 31.788 million remains unchanged. See table 4 on page 380, and remains well within our authorised limit of 46 million shown on page 383. That's good news, because we can see from the table at 3.2 on page 380 also that the PWLB rates are still continuing to grow and are forecast to continue at the 5% mark until late in 2023. With regard to investments, our yield for the first 6 months of 1.23% against the 7-day money market rate of 1.19% and a budgeted figure of 0.65% is predicting a yield of 494,000. That's 271,000 above forecast, and it's a commendable achievement. Mr. Mayor, members, as we have seen, not only do our finance team do an excellent job making sure that we keep within the required limits, they also maximise the investment income returns to the council as well. The team's performance is particularly evident when benchmarked against other councils, especially when taking into account the limitations placed on us by regulation. Members, I fully support the recommendations at 5.2, page 370 of the paper to change the investment strategy to increase the maximum investment period with banks and building societies to 3 years, as this provides more flexibility while still ensuring risk is minimised. Mr Mayor, I'm very happy to move the recommendations to council at 2.1 that the mid-year position on treasury activity for 2022-23 be noted. 2.2 that the mid-year position on prudential indicators for 2022-23 be noted, and 2.3 that the proposed change to investment strategy as outlined in paragraph 5.2 to increase the maximum investment period with banks and building societies to 3 years is approved. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very happy to second 212223 on page 5 of the order paper. Haven't got a lot to say, having said that. Just interesting on 5.1 on page 370, it just goes to show how things are changing all the time and so rapidly. I checked back on my text because on the 16th of December, I got a text from Barclays Bank, which was very nice of them to tell me my bank loan had gone up to 3.5% base. So obviously the base rate, as it mentions here, the current base rate is 2.25, but certainly Barclays had told me it's 3.5 on the 16th of December. And they also said, I'm not to worry, they will just take the extra money. So I don't have to do anything. So full marks to them for that. Also noticed 12% inflation. As we probably most of us know now who follow this, it's inflation has fell to 10.7. Hopefully it will continue to fall. The downside is it all sounds great when you hear inflation has fallen, but prices never come down, do they? That's the problem we've got. And people have to take that on board. But having said that, very pleased to second. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open this item to debate and invite members to raise their hand to indicate whether they wish to speak, please. Councillor Higgins. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question in regards to the increasing interest rates. What's the impact on the agreement we've come up with the Leicestershire County Council in regards to borrowing on the Public Loans Board for, is it 80 years, in regards to these increased rates on that plan? And what's the impact to the council over that period of time? Has that been considered on here? Because obviously the interest rates are going up and that's going to impact our revenue even more. Just on that point, because I believe from what the leader has said before, this council is going to be paying for education facilities on that agreement. So Melton will be paying twice for the education in the provision of Melton Mowbray. So what's the impact of that with increased rates on that deal that we signed? It was it a year or so ago? Could I have an answer to that, please? Thank you.
Invite Dawn.
Yeah, I would have to come back on that because obviously I haven't got that figure to hand, but we would that would be accounted for in our medium-term financial strategy, obviously, and obviously at this point as well, we've not drawn down any borrowing, so it'll be the prevailing rate at that time, and rates are set forecast to come down as well, so it could be that they decline by the time we take that out. So.
Thank you for that, Dawn, and thanks for the response you gave earlier today when I was asking about regarding the financial settlement. I mean, the good part is with inflation, there is a double-edged sword to inflation, as the leader was saying earlier. With inflation, it eats away debt as well very quickly. So on our 30-odd million pounds of borrowing, it's going down at a faster rate in real terms. So that's the other side of it. So it could equally be a positive thing, but obviously for the medium and long-term finances, if we do draw that, that's going to have a significant effect on the revenues of this council. Thank you.
Do any other members wish to speak? No. If there's no other members wish to speak, I will now proceed to a vote, please. All in favour, please.
Unanimous.
That's unanimous, thank you. Item 13. I will now invite the portfolio holder for, no, is that right? Yes, that's right. Yep. Portfolio holder for Corporate Governance, Finance and Resources, Councillor de Burgh, to present the Cabinet recommendations to Council on the Housing Revenue Account budget monitoring for the period 1st of April 22 to 30th September 22.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Members, the HRA has struggled in recent years to deliver against its capital programme. I'm therefore pleased to report that since the initial I'm therefore pleased to report that since the initial work on the stock condition survey was completed and the resulting business plan authorised by this council was put in place, we can see a greatly improved position with much progress being made. Mr. Mayor, it is quite normal as a plan progresses that changes become apparent, which, if implemented, would accelerate the implementation of the authorised plans. Members, by approving the recommendations from Cabinet at 2.1 of this paper, you will approve the reallocation by Environment of £394,000 or funds from historic budgets. These are highlighted in the table at 5.8.2, page 398 of your paper, making it possible for them to be freed up and moved to increase other budgets that are focusing on necessary works, like, for example, accelerating the implementation of the plans recently approved in our HRA business plan to install new windows and heating systems in our tenanted properties, which will improve the energy efficiency of the houses, benefiting the lives of tenants. Mr. Mayor, I move the proposals at 2.1, page 392 of the document, that Council approves the proposed environments and realignment of the HRA capital programme for 2022-23 as outlined in paragraph 5.8, page 398 of Appendix 1 of the attached paper. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a seconder, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, more than happy to second, and I think the paper speaks for itself, so I'm not going to say any more than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll now open this item for debate and invite members to raise their hand if you wish to speak, please. Councillor Evans.
What a difference 3 years makes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I should say to all the council and all councillors and officers, a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. I know it may not be so for Ed at the moment, but I'm sure when we have time to reflect and move on, we'll find the way forward. 3 years ago, where were we? And Ed knows where we were. The chief exec knows where we were, Mr. Mayor. We were in a complete mess when it came to our house. This happened at Harborough too. Have they got the same system as we have?
It's on now.
It's on. If it goes green, I'm leaving. Because I know that happened once too. We've had a staggering change, and I know the two people who've been ultimately responsible for that, but there are other people behind them. But obviously, Councillor Brown, who's done an excellent work, and Michelle. I give so much thanks to the work and hard work they've done, but also all the team. As Joe knows, no team, a football team has to have a manager, but it has to have a team behind it that believes in the manager and works for the manager and gets this done. And it's been a staggering, and I use that word, in all my 30 years, I've never seen such a change in the attitude and the way this department is working. I can tell you 3 years ago, if I put a report that one tenant needed something, and Steve knows this, Councillor Carlton knows this, you'd be waiting a year or 2 years for anything to happen. Last time I put something in, within 2 weeks, something had happened. That's how staggering this department is. And obviously Ed takes the credit that goes with this. I hope that we carry on. You know, Michelle, there's always a sting in the tail. I'm still confident that the budget capital that you've got is going to be spent, as you said, this year. And I hope we're still on track to do that this financial year, because I think it's important. I'm getting good news from the tenants. Things are happening with windows, boilers, and I know it's not easy for such a huge change from where we are, but the staggering change, I can't really say how impressed I am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any other members wish to speak? Councillor Carter.
Yeah, follow on from Councillor Evans. I've got to agree. I've seen a big change in housing, and Stoke keep up the good work, Michelle and Ed. Congratulations to Ed. Well done. And Chris.
Any other members? No. Confirm there's no more members wish to speak, then we will now proceed to a vote. All those in favour, please. That's unanimous then, thank you. Item 14, I will now invite Councillor Posnett to present the annual audit and standards report, which is the first of this kind for Melton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Leader, I've been asked to present the first Audit Committee annual report and self-assessment because Committee Chair Councillor Pritchett has COVID and Vice Chair Councillor Fisher is also absent. The annual report is focused and succinct. It does not need commentary, only to mention two significant items at paragraphs 4.8.1 and 4.8.2. The external auditor provider is behind with their work. In November 2021, the auditor presented their plan for the 2020-21 audit of accounts. This should normally be presented at least 8 months earlier, and the final audited accounts for 2020-21 and the audit opinion have yet to be considered by the committee. No plan has been submitted as yet for the 2021-22 audit of accounts. The reason is being reported as a shortage of staff applying nationally. In December 2021, the Department of Levelling Up and Communities produced guidance and measures to improve local audit delays. The Director of Corporate Services is monitoring the situation and briefing the Chair and Vice Chair on a regular basis. The Audit Committee members were most concerned with the extent of the outstanding sundry debtors and risk of non-collection reported within the Financial System Report. This is currently an item on the Scrutiny Committee work plan. Another area of concern is the high numbers of planning enforcement and condition compliance outstanding because of staff resource. Both reports can be found within the internal audit papers for the 5th of July 2022 meeting. The delay in the external auditor completing their work is something that doesn't just apply to Melton Borough Council, it's actually national. And in respect of debtors, it's understood that the debtor performance will be reported to the Scrutiny Committee early in the new year. For the Audit Committee self-assessment actions noted at pages 421 and 422, these are in progress and a status report is to be prepared for the March 2023 Audit and Standards Committee meeting. And can I just say, if you have any detailed questions, please don't ask me. Please contact Councillor Pritchett, who will be very pleased to answer.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm told that I am seconding this, but please don't ask me any questions either. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open this to debate and invite members to raise their hand if they wish to speak, please. No, thank you. I'll just confirm then that this item is to be noted by the council. Thank you. Item 15, I will now invite the Vice Chair of Licensing Committee, Councillor Chandler, to present the recommendation and report from the Licensing Committee on the review of the Statement of Licensing Policy 2022 to 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm deputising for Councillor Douglas tonight, another casualty of COVID. The Melton Borough Council Licensing Department have undertaken a review of the Statement of Licensing Policy in accordance with the Licensing Act of 2003. Looking around the room, I think there's barely a handful of us who actually instigated those first licenses. We met twice a week in the old Warwick Room at Nottingham Road, and we had everybody in that had a license for either entertainment, music, booze, you name it, we had them all in. And it was quite a policy. I'm looking at Councillor Cumbers now. She was one of them, weren't you? But we worked very hard, and I think it worked very well. The authority has had the duty to review the licensing policy every 5 years, and that 5 years came this year. The policy sets out how Melton Borough Council intends to promote the licensing objectives pursuant to Section 5 of the Licensing Act of 2003 in the preparation and publication of this licensing statement. The Council has had regard to Section 182 of the Licensing Act of 2003 guidance. In June this year, the Licensing Committee gave its approval to complete a 12-week consultation period, which started on the 4th of July and ran until the 26th of September. During this time, the policy was published on the Council's website and in the Melton Times. It was also available for inspection at the Parkside reception desk. The policy was shared with all responsible authorities, including fire, police, and health and safety executive. It has been sent to all relevant local stakeholders, such as pub watch, premises, and personal licence holders and residents. No comments were received. The policy was taken back to the Licensing Committee on the 21st of November, and they approved that the policy, without any amendments, is submitted to full council for adoption. Therefore, it is recommended that council approves and adopts the policy tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to second 2.1, which is on page 7 of the order paper, adopts the revised statement of licensing policy 22 to 27, Appendix A. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I will now open this item to debate and invite members to raise their hands if they wish to speak, please. No. I confirm that there's no members wish to speak. Then we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favour, please. That's unanimous. Thank you. That's the end of the items for this evening. We'll close at what's that one? 7:45. I'd just like to invite members and officers, if they want to join me with a mince pie in a drink in the Mayor's Parlour, and just to take this opportunity to wish all councillors a happy Christmas and a new year to look forward to. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, can I just do a little promotion on behalf of you?
Thank you.
January the 13th, date for your diary, It's the mayor's quiz in the in here, in these rooms. So any unwanted Christmas presents, please remember I'm doing the raffle, so I'd be grateful for anything received and look forward to seeing you on January the 13th. Thank you. Bye.
Members, ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to be upstanding for the Mayor of the Borough